I want to start today with a phrase that I absolutely love, mostly because it is so, visually descriptive of how most of us actually run things, our lives, our businesses.
Let me guess. Finger in the air.
Exactly. Finger in the air pricing.
It's a classic move.
It-
Probably the most common business strategy in the world, unfortunately.
It really is, though. You start a business, you have absolutely no idea what to charge, so you look at your competitor, see they charge $50, and you think, okay, I'll charge 45.
Or you just pick a number that kind of feels fair. And today's deep dive is basically an intervention for anyone who's still doing that.
It is an intervention.
Yeah.
We are unpacking this really comprehensive workshop transcript. It's called Calculating Your Freedom Number.
Right. And the core argument here is that looking at the market to set your prices is, well, it's actually doing it completely backwards.
Backwards? How so? I mean, that feels like business 101, doesn't it? Look at the market, see what the going rate is, and just, fit in.
Well, the market doesn't care about your mortgage. The market doesn't care if you want to take 3 holidays a year or if your kid needs braces.
Good point.
If you price based on the market, sure, you might get clients, but you might also build a business that just keeps you broke.
Mm-hmm.
This whole workshop, it flips the script. You calculate the cost of your ideal life first, down to the penny,
And
then you reverse engineer the business strategy to actually pay for it.
which sounds great in theory, very,
Yeah.
manifest your destiny.
Yeah.
But as we went through this source material, I realized this isn't some dream board exercise.
Uh-huh.
There is some heavy math involved here.
Oh, there is. And honestly, it's the kind of math that can be a little terrifying because it exposes the cracks in your business model immediately.
So what are we going to cover?
We're going to look at the reality of the tax system, specifically why you need to earn way more than you think. We're going to debunk the myth that you can work 8 billable hours a day.
That one's a big one.
And we have 2 really painful real-world case studies.
Yeah.
A cybersecurity consultant and a pet sitter.
Oh, that pet sitter case study, that one hurt. We will definitely get to that because it illustrates the trap perfectly.
Well, it really does.
But let's start where the workshop starts. Phase 1, right? The ideal life. The source material talks about a worksheet where you list your personal payout.
Right. And the instruction here is so important. You're not just listing your survival costs, mortgage, utilities, spaghetti for dinner.
No.
No, you are listing the costs of the life you actually want, the freedom life.
So if I want to go to Japan for 2 weeks, that goes on the list.
That goes on the list. Exactly. If you want a new car every 3 years, on the list. If you want to eat out twice a week instead of once a month, that goes on the list.
So you really have to be honest with yourself.
The workshop leader pushes you to be selfish here. You sum it all up and you get a net monthly figure. In the example from the source, the entrepreneur does all this math and decides they need a take-home pay of exactly £3,441 per month.
Okay, let's hold on to that number.
Yeah.
3,441 pounds hitting the bank account. So if I'm that entrepreneur, I'm thinking, okay, my business needs to make, about 41,000 a year and I'm good.
And that right there, that is the trap. That is the fatal error that leads to so much burnout because you're forgetting the silent partner in your business.
Our government.
The tax man. You can't just earn what you need to spend. You have to earn enough to pay the government their share before you get yours.
This is where we get into something called grossing up.
Okay, let's break this down because the source gets really specific about UK tax codes. And I think for a lot of people, tax is just this black box that eats money. So how does this calculation actually work?
So the source uses the standard UK tax code, which is QUOL 257L. You've probably seen it on a payslip.
1257L. I've definitely seen it. I've definitely ignored it. What does it actually mean?
It's just a code that tells you your tax-free allowance. So you take the number, 12,557, you add a 0. So 12,570 pounds. That's how much you can earn before you pay a single penny of tax.
Okay, so that's the buffer. That sounds decent. It's a start. But everything you earn above that gets taxed. And then you've got national insurance on top of that. Now, the workshop leader makes a really interesting point here about risk and planning.
Okay.
She says, when you're planning your freedom number, you should calculate your tax as if you were a standard employee. Basically, you use the worst case scenario tax rate.
Wait, why would you do that? Most business owners
Yeah.
pay themselves in dividends. Right. Or they find clever ways to expense things. Isn't that the whole point of owning a business, to be more tax efficient?
It is, but tax laws change. Dividend rules get squeezed, allowances drop. Her argument is really smart. If you build your business model, assuming you have to pay the highest rate of tax.
The standard employee rate.
Right. And then you manage to pay less legally, you end up with a bonus. You've got extra cash. But if you plan for the lowest possible tax and the law changes, or you just have a good year and hit a higher bracket, you're suddenly in trouble.
That's defensive planning. I like that.
Yeah.
So let's go back to our number. We need 3,441 TOS net in our pocket every month.
Yep, to be happy.
If we apply this worst-case tax logic, what does the business actually need to generate?
To get that 41,000 pounds in your hand, your business needs to generate an annual salary for you of 52,990 pounds.
Wow. Okay, so that's a gap of, what, roughly 12,000 pounds?
And that's just your salary. That's not including any business overheads.
Yeah.
Your laptop, your software, your accountant, your insurance, that 53 grand is just the cost of you.
This is the first big reality check, isn't it? You think you need 40 grand, but you actually need 53 just to stand still. That is a massive psychological jump.
It is. But knowing that number, it changes how you show up. You stop accepting those lowball offers because you know the math just doesn't work.
Right.
But getting the financial number, that's only half the battle. Phase 2 of this workshop introduces the constraint that usually breaks people: time.
This is the part I think most people get so wrong. We just assume, okay, I need 53,000 pounds. I'll work 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and I'll just bill for all those hours.
Which is physically impossible for a business owner. The source breaks this down beautifully. First, you have to talk about working days. If this is your ideal life, you are not working 365 days a year. You want weekends, right?
Hopefully. And holidays. If I'm working for myself, I want at least a few weeks off.
Exactly. So the workshop leader, she mentions she aims for a 4-day work week. So let's do that math. 52 weeks times 4 days is 208 days.
Okay.
Then she subtracts 5 weeks of holiday. That brings her down to 176 working days a year.
176 days. That is less than half the year.
Correct. So you have 176 days to earn that 53,000 pounds. But wait, it gets tighter. You cannot bill for 8 hours a day.
Now, why not? If I'm at my desk for 8 hours, why aren't I billing for 8 hours?
Because running a business involves a huge amount of unpaid labor. This is what she calls the productive hours myth. The source states it very clearly. As a self-employed person or a micro-business owner, you are lucky to get 4 productive hours a day.
4 hours? Come on, that sounds incredibly low. I feel like I work way more than that. What am I doing with the other 4 hours?
You're answering emails, you're doing the bookkeeping, you're posting on LinkedIn trying to find the next client, you're fixing the printer because it jammed again.
Right. All that stuff.
Yeah. When you're an employee, someone else handles the infrastructure. When you're the boss, you are the infrastructure. The source suggests you can only reliably bill for about 50% of your time.
So let's look at that equation now. We've got our revenue goal, the 53,000 pounds. We divide that by our working days, 176.
Yep.
And then we divide that by 4 hours.
And that gives you your real hourly rate, the rate you absolutely must charge to make the whole plan work.
And I'm guessing for most people in that room, that number is a shock.
It's usually double or triple what they are currently charging. I mean, I've seen this happen. Someone thinks they're doing great charging 50 pounds an hour. Then they do this math and realize they need to be at 120 pounds just to hit their basic targets.
And that's the moment of panic, because they immediately think, my clients won't pay 120 pounds.
Right. But the source makes a very firm point here. That's not a pricing problem. That's a business model problem. If your math says 120 pounds and the market says 50 pounds, you are targeting the wrong market, or you're offering the wrong service. You can't just work harder to close that gap.
You'll burn out.
You'll burn out trying to squeeze 12 hours into a day just to make ends meet.
This is a perfect segue into the case studies, because we have 2 very different examples of how this math plays out. Let's start with Chris.
Chris is an interesting one. He's in a high-value sector, right? Cybersecurity. He's setting up a limited company to do these high-level government audits, consultancy work.
So he's not a freelancer. He's building a proper firm. He has partners.
Yes, 2 partners. So there are 3 of them total. And his freedom number calculation is tricky because he isn't just feeding his own family. The business has to generate enough revenue to pay 3 ideal life salaries.
That's a lot of pressure. But on the other hand, the source notes his overheads are actually quite low.
Yeah, weirdly low for a tech startup. He mentions using Microsoft Azure and Office 365. These are all cloud tools. He doesn't need a factory or raw materials.
So his gross margin is high.
It's effectively 100%. He's selling expertise. Once he pays for the laptop and the insurance, every pound he bills is gross profit until he pays those salaries. So for Chris, the challenge isn't the cost of goods, it's the volume of work at a high enough rate.
Okay, now let's contrast that with Sin. This is the story that really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah.
Sin's working a full-time job, but she runs a pet sitting and dog walking business on the side. And she wants to quit the job and do the pets full-time.
This was the emotional climax of the workshop in the source material. Sin is hustling. I mean, she's working weekends, evenings. She has about 35 regular clients. But she's not, math-minded, so she's never run the numbers. She's operating on pure effort.
And the workshop leader asks her, what is your average client value?
And it turns out to be very low, about 35 pounds a month.
So that's, what, just over 400 pounds a year per client? Per dog? That's not a lot of money.
Roughly 400 pounds, yes. Now, apply the freedom number logic to that. Let's say Sin needs a modest salary to quit her job. Let's assume she needs that same 40,000 pounds-ish range we talked about earlier.
Okay.
If you take her revenue need and you divide it by 400 pounds per client,
You need a lot of dogs.
the calculation came out to roughly 230 clients.
230 clients.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you work 7 days a week, the logistics of that are impossible. You just can't walk 230 dogs.
Exactly. It is a logistical impossibility. And this is why the math is so compassionate, in a strange way. Sin probably thought she just needed to hustle more. If I just get 10 more clients, I'll be okay.
But the math proves that 10 more clients does nothing. Even 100 more clients doesn't solve it. She is running toward a finish line that doesn't exist.
She's playing a game she literally cannot win.
Unless she changes the rules.
Unless she changes the rules.
Yeah.
The math forces a pivot. She realizes she can't be a low-cost dog walker. She either needs to become a premium pet concierge, charging 500 pounds a month per dog, or she has to hire staff to handle the volume.
But then her costs go up, so she needs even more volume.
It's a vicious cycle. It's brutal. But it's better to know it now than 5 years down the road when you're just completely exhausted.
Ignorance is bankruptcy.
Exactly. Knowing the number gives you the option to fix it.
So we've covered the personal goal, the tax reality, the time constraint, the volume issue. But the transcript wraps up with a really useful framework called the 6 numbers. These are like the vital signs for your business.
Yes. If you're overwhelmed by data, and let's be honest, most of us are, just track these 6.
Okay, let's run through them. Number 1, break-even point.
Simple. How much do you need to sell just to reach 0? To pay all the bills, keep the lights on, before you take a single penny of profit. You'd be amazed how many people don't know this exact figure.
Number 2, desired income. That's the freedom number we've been talking about this whole time.
That's the target, the destination on the map.
Number 3 is interesting. Business buffer. Is this just savings?
It's a bit more nuanced. The expert defines this as free cash. It's not just the balance in your bank account, because some of that money is already spoken for.
Right, like tax money.
It's VAT you owe the government, or a software bill that's coming out next week. A real buffer is money that is truly, truly unallocated. If you don't know the difference, you might spend your tax money on a new marketing campaign, which is a disaster.
Yeah, a dangerous mistake. Number 4, lifetime value of a client, or LTV. Now, I often hear people push back on this. They say, my clients are all different. I can't have an average.
And the expert just shuts that down immediately. She uses her own accounting firm as an example. She's got clients paying 200 pounds a year for a simple tax return and others paying 1,000 pounds a month for full CFO services. A massive range.
So how can you average that meaningfully? Doesn't the average just lie?
Not for this purpose. You just do the math. Total revenue divided by total clients. She found her average was consistent within 7 pounds year after year. And why does this matter? Because if you know your average client is worth 5,000 pounds over their lifetime,
you know how much you can spend to buy them. Which leads to number 5, cost per acquisition, or CPA.
Exactly. How much does it actually cost you to get a new client? Networking, ads, PR. If your LTV is 400 pounds, like Sin the pet sitter, you can't afford to spend 200 pounds acquiring a customer. You'll go broke. If your LTV is 10,000 pounds, spending 200 pounds is a no-brainer.
There was a tiny detail in the source stack here about social media acquisition that I thought was interesting. Something about a ratio.
Yes, a 4.5 ratio. It was a quick sidebar on creating content for acquisition. It refers to the aspect ratio of, a video or an image on a mobile feed.
Ah, the technical stuff.
It's a great reminder that cost per acquisition isn't just about strategy. It's about technical execution. If you're running ads, but your creative is formatted wrong, your CPA goes up because the algorithm punishes you.
The details matter. Okay, and finally, number 6. This is the one I want everyone to write down. The ratio to employee turnover, or the rule of thirds.
This is the golden rule of hiring. An employee needs to generate at least 3 times their cost to the business.
3 times. That seems really high. So if I pay someone 30,000 pounds, they need to bring in 90,000 pounds.
Yes. And here's the breakdown of why. The first third covers their actual salary.
Okay, the 30K.
The second third covers their seat in the business, the employer taxes, the software licenses they need, the desk, the electricity, the management time they take up.
So at twice their salary, at 2x revenue, we're just breaking even on them.
Exactly. If they only bring in 2x, the business makes zero profit on their existence. That's why you need the third third. That is the actual profit for the company to reinvest or to distribute.
That is a tough standard. I bet a lot of listeners have employees who are barely hitting 1.5.
Then those employees are technically costing the business money, even if it looks like they're bringing in revenue. It's a silent leak in the boat.
So bringing this all together, we started with a dream, the ideal life. But we've ended up with a very, very strict math equation.
It is strict, but it's liberating. The equation is basically your ideal life costs plus tax divided by your working days, divided by 4 hours a day. That gives you your price. If the market won't pay that price, you don't need to manifest success. You need to change the variables.
You have to change the business model.
You lower your life costs, you increase your efficiency, or you change your business model entirely. Like Sin, she can't walk 230 dogs. The math saved her from trying.
Right. It turns about a vague anxiety that I'm not making enough money feeling into a specific problem to solve.
And entrepreneurs are good at solving specific problems.
Okay, I want to leave our listener with one final thought based on that rule of thirds.
Yep.
We said that any employee you hire needs to generate 3x their cost, right?
Correct.
Well, turn that mirror on yourself. You are the primary employee of your business. You have a cost. That freedom number salary we calculated at start.
Yeah.
Are you generating 3 times that value for your business?
That is the ultimate question.
Because if you aren't, are you actually running a scalable business?
Mm-hmm.
Or have you just created a very stressful, high-stakes job for yourself where you're the boss, the employee, and the janitor?
And the one paying all the tax.
Exactly. Something to think about. Get your calculators out, find that number, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.